Tonight, the countdown begins. Crowds gather around the country for New Year celebrations. Hitting back, Ukraine launches a huge wave of airstrikes in retaliation to Russia. Tennis great Rafael Nadal hints this summer of sport could be his last hit down under. And we take a look back at the stories that made 2023 a year to remember. Good evening, Melissa Mackay with ABC News. With just 5 hours left of 2023, the countdown to the new year has well and truly started in the Northern Territory. From backyard barbecues to disco dance floors, there's no shortage of celebrations planned for the night. And there's no one more amongst the action right now than our reporter Roxanne Fitzgerald, who joins us from the Darwin waterfront. Roxy, you've got the earrings to match the party. What's the plan down there this evening?
Hi Mel. Well, it's extremely hot and sweaty down here at the Darwin waterfront, but as you can tell, it really hasn't kept away the crowds tonight. They're all here to have a really good time, and we're hoping for no rain because last year this event was actually cancelled because of bad weather. There was like heavy rain and big winds, so everyone's very excited to be here tonight and able to celebrate New Year's. But as I said before, there's so much going on down here at the waterfront. There's bands, as you can probably hear behind me. There's going to be a light show next with fire and all that kind of stuff. And of course, everyone's down here for the main event, which is fireworks. So there's going to be a family-friendly show at 9 p.m. And then for those who are able to stay up past 10 p.m, there's going to be the main event at midnight, which is going to be hopefully spectacular. It probably won't be quite as good as the fireworks show down in Sydney, but people are definitely excited. And here's what some people had to say earlier about why they're here and what they're hoping for New Year's Eve tonight.
Just here at the Darwin waterfront, we're enjoying the kids' neon disco and the live music over there.
Spending it down here, actually going to see the laser show and watch a bit of the fireworks.
Just trying to wrangle these two and not sweat too much.
The fireworks? Yeah, the fireworks.
Yeah, why is that?
Because they're pretty.
So lots going on at the Darwin waterfront tonight, Roxy. What else is happening around the Territory?
Yeah, I mean, this is clearly the main event. There's so many people here, and obviously 2 fireworks shows is really going to draw a crowd, but there are other things happening across the Territory. In Alice Springs, there's going to be a family-friendly street party at the Todd Mall. In Matangrita, there's going to be fireworks and kids' activities. In Tennant Creek, where I'm sure it's going to be even hotter than here, there's going to be a pool party and a cinema. But for all the people around the Territory celebrating New Year's tonight, no matter where they are, I'm sure they're ushering in 2024 with a bottle of champagne. I, for one, am very excited and I can't wait to see it. Happy New Year, Mel.
Oh, you can do it, Roxanne. Fabulous.
Happy New Year.
Have a wonderful evening, Roxy. Happy New Year.
You too.
And some of the biggest crowds that have been seen in years have packed the Sydney Harbour foreshore for the New Year's Eve fireworks. About 1 million people are expected there, with another 400 million tuning in from around the world. The bumper turnout followed the state government's scrapping of the ticketing system, meaning access to some of the best vantage points was free for the first time in years, and there were many at capacity by late this afternoon.
As the gates opened at 7 this morning, people were falling over themselves to claim the best view. The Opera House forecourt was like a racetrack, and within minutes, a patchwork of picnic rugs began to cover the prime real estate.
Been on my bucket list for the last 10 years. I'm really excited for the fireworks.
Some arrived at dawn.
I think Sydney is the best New Year's Eve spot in the world.
Others had camped out for the night.
We came here at 2 p.m. yesterday.
Mrs Macquarie's Point was declared full by 10:30 a.m, and at Barangaroo, the queue snaked along the foreshore. By midday, the lines were starting to move.
We are going to be seeing our first Sydney fireworks. So we're from South Africa and we're very excited.
Not even the rain could dampen spirits.
We have a lot of food, we have a tent, we have ball games.
The harbour itself crowded with craft of all kinds. In previous years, people have had to pay to enter fireworks vantage points, but this year, access to state government-owned sites by the harbour is free, and that's expected to draw some of the biggest crowds in years.
We are expecting crowd numbers to increase probably back to the 2018 levels.
Not everyone was a fan of the free-for-all.
I think I'd prefer to pay for a spot again. You rock up at 4 o'clock and you got the spot.
The show will celebrate First Nations culture as well as positivity and hope in troubled times.
We are looking forward to 2024 being a much better year.
And with the shores of the harbour city brimming, 2024 is set to receive a wild welcome.
Happy New Year!
Alexander Lewis, ABC News, Sydney.
And reporter Penny Timms has joined revellers at Mrs Macquarie's chair in Sydney tonight. Penny, what can people expect to see?
Mel, anticipation is high down here at Sydney Harbour. Hundreds of thousands of people are crammed along the water's edge, all hoping to catch more than just a glimpse of one of the most famous fireworks displays in the world. Tonight we'll see 8.5 tonnes of fireworks light up the Sydney skyline. It'll stretch 6 kilometres down Sydney Harbour, and it will happen over 2 epic shows. The first of those being the family-friendly 9 p.m. show. That will then, of course, be followed by the absolutely huge event, the midnight fireworks. That is expected to last for around about 12 minutes, and it will see fireworks be shot from pontoons, from office buildings, and, of course, the best of all, the Sydney Opera House and the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Tonight is expected to feature hues of the lunar night sky. So we're sort of thinking pinks and purples, greens, blue, and a little bit of peach thrown in there as well. Tonight is also going to see a real nod to First Nations culture, and it all gets underway with a special smoking ceremony on the Sydney Harbour itself. Down here it is threatening to rain, but even if that does happen, Mel, I think one thing's for sure, and that is that tonight is going to be one to remember.
A massive night ahead. Penny Timms in Sydney there. Thank you so much. To other news now, and 2 train drivers have been killed in a crash between a freight train and a truck this morning near South Australia's border with New South Wales. Emergency services responded to the crash at a level crossing in 80 kilometres west of Broken Hill around 10:30. The drivers, Port Augusta men aged 48 and 57, died in the crash, which caused the train to catch fire and several carriages to derail. The driver of the truck, a 75-year-old Queensland man, was taken to hospital for minor injuries. The accident blocked the entire Barrier Highway, which is expected to be closed in both directions for several more hours. Ukraine has carried out one of its biggest waves of airstrikes on Russia since the start of the war. At least 22 people, including 2 children, were killed in the southern western city of Belgorod near the border with Ukraine. It comes a day after Russia launched a massive aerial bombardment on Ukraine, killing at least 40 people.
Shock and fear on the streets of Russia. Explosions hit the southwestern city of Belgorod on Friday and Saturday. This town is only 40 kilometres from Ukraine's border. It's been hit before during the almost 2-year conflict, but this appears to be the deadliest yet.
Today we experienced the heaviest toll in the last 2 years from shellings by the Ukrainian armed forces.
Ukrainian officials haven't formally claimed the attack, but there's reports Kyiv was trying to strike military targets in the area, with downed parts falling in the city.
It was a strong explosion. I put everyone in the bathroom.
The Kremlin called for an urgent UN Security Council meeting and warned this attack would not go unpunished. Retaliation soon came. Hours later, Russian missiles hit the Ukrainian cities of Kharkiv and Kherson.
What a present Russia gave us for the new year. They bomb residential areas. There are people here. How can they do such a thing?
Russia's president and top military officer had earlier been promoting a battlefield win, claiming the village of Mariinka in the Donetsk region.
By breaking this fortification, our troops have the opportunity to reach a wider operational area now.
Ukraine is reeling from a week of intense Russian strikes which killed dozens, and now warnings further pain could be on the way. Isabella Higgins, ABC News.
Gazan health authorities say nearly 170 Palestinians have been killed in the past 24 hours as Israel ramps up attacks inside the besieged enclave. There's mounting pressure on Israel to do more to allow aid to flow freely amid accusations it's restricting the movement of life-saving supplies. And a warning, this report contains distressing details.
On October 7, Mia Shem was confronted with an agonising life or death decision.
To stay burned to death here or go with him. And I told myself in my head, well, I don't want to die, I want to live.
The 21-year-old was taken hostage at the Supernova Music Festival when it came under attack from Hamas militants. This is the first time she's spoken publicly about her ordeal.
Closed in a dark room, not allowed to talk, not allowed to be seen, to be heard, hidden. There is a terrorist looking at you 24/7, looking, raping you with his eyes.
Shem was one of 78 hostages released as part of an exchange deal with Hamas. But dozens more are still being held inside Gaza. The IDF has released this video purportedly showing the latest airstrikes on Hamas targets. But on the ground, the number of civilian casualties continues to rise.
I never expected this number of deaths. We did not have such numbers in previous wars.
As Israel pushes deeper into central and southern Gaza, it's announced plans to take full control of the Philadelphia corridor with Egypt. The move would place the enclave under Israel's exclusive control and mark a de facto reversal of Israel's 2005 withdrawal from Gaza.
The southern stoppage point must be in our hands. It must be shut. It is clear that any other arrangement would not ensure the demilitarisation that we seek.
Israel is already accused of limiting badly needed humanitarian aid through its crossings, but it's condemning suggestions only a small amount of aid is getting through.
We place no limits on the amount of humanitarian supplies which can enter the Strip. Suggesting otherwise is a fallacy.
With the war now in its 13th week, Israel is warning much more fighting is to come before so-called victory is achieved. Alison Horn, ABC News, Jerusalem.
Chronically ill patients are turning to credit cards and foregoing food to cover the cost of medicines. A survey has found 1 in 4 patients are struggling to pay for their pharmaceuticals as the cost of living continues to bite. For many, it's off-the-shelf medicines that really start to add up.
Not only is Karen Armanasco dealing with terminal neuroendocrine cancer, she's struggling to pay for it too. On top of regular scripts, the grandmother needs off-the-shelf pain medicines, laxatives, vitamins and other chemist items.
Over a period of a month, it's over $300.
It's a constant source of worry.
It's the incontinence. You only get to buy the pull-ups when they're on special because they're so expensive. That stops you from going ill. Because you can't trust your bowels or your bladder.
She's one of many feeling the pinch when it comes to pharmacy goods not listed under the Pharmaceutical Benefits Scheme, or PBS. They include essential items like pain medicines and gels, sharp spins, asthma spacers, incontinence pads, dressings or even pregnancy vitamins.
Chronic Pain Australia says 1 in 4 patients struggle to afford these products and skip food or fuel to pay.
It's incredibly expensive. What people are telling us that their out-of-pocket expenses for non-PBS items are around $200 a month.
The Australian Patients Association found many turn to credit to cover health costs.
There's been health cost issues for some time now, but the cost of living rises of recent times have really created a serious problem.
And there's little or no help available. The government's pharmaceutical allowance is just $6.60 a fortnight and only covers prescription medications for some people. But there is funding for one condition. These testing strips are covered for diabetics under the National Diabetes Services Scheme. The federal government says it's also lowered the PBS safety net and reduced the co-payment on scripts. Alison Branley, ABC News.
British actor Tom Wilkinson, known for his roles in The Full Monty, Michael Clayton and The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, has died aged 75. Wilkinson passed away suddenly in his home, but no cause of death was given. The Oscar-nominated actor had more than 130 film and TV credits, but is remembered by many for playing a former steel mill foreman in the 1997 comedy film The Full Monty. He was recognised for his services to drama in 2005 when he was appointed a member of the Order of the British Empire. Australia has beaten India by 3 runs in Mumbai to take an unbeatable 2-0 lead in the Women's ODI series. Phoebe Litchfield top scored with 63, her second half-century in a row, as Australia posted 8 for 258. Litchfield also took a brilliant diving catch as Jemima Rodrigues was dismissed for 44. Rika Gush fell only 4 runs short of a century, and Australia maintained its record of never having lost a one-day series against India. Rafael Nadal has revealed he considered retirement ahead of his long-awaited return to singles action at the Brisbane International. It comes as the 22-time Grand Slam champion also hinted there's a high chance this summer will be his last down under.
Back in a familiar surrounding, a place Rafa says holds fond memories. This trip, he'll cherish them even more.
It's a high percentage that's going to be my last time playing here in Australia. But if I am here next year, don't tell me you said going to be your last season, because I didn't say it.
But he did contemplate giving tennis away after needing hip surgery, often spending weeks waking up in pain.
Of course, in the low moments, it's 100% human that you put yourself in a position to say, okay, it makes sense, all the things that I have to do to be back at 37 years old.
A feeling Australia's top-ranked Aussie woman knows all too well.
Rodionova has turned it all around in this first set.
Arina Rodionova missed 8 months away with a wrist injury, but scored her first top 50 win in almost 4 years, defeating Martina Trevisan 6-3, 6-2.
I'm feeling really confident on the court and I'm feeling good, and I'm just, when you have an injury, you just don't take it for granted anymore.
And Alexei Popyrin has survived a 3-hour, 3-set marathon match against fellow Australian Chris O'Connell to progress to the second round. Jessica Stewart, ABC News, Brisbane.
The sport of lacrosse is making a comeback. It's returning to the Olympics for the first time since 1948, and it'll feature a women's competition for the first time.
This is lacrosse.
Going to goal, she was fouled.
The contact team sport based on games played by Native American tribes, and it can be brutal.
Give and go back. Score!
Lacrosse will also be an Olympic event in Los Angeles in 2028. Its first appearance in 80 years and the first for the women's game.
It's the greatest stage there is for sport, the absolute epitome of sport, and we're just excited.
Modified from the traditional game, the Olympic format will feature 6-a-side rather than 10.
I think it's great for the fans.
It's so fast, it's agile, it incorporates all ends of the field without so much stoppage.
India Williams and Trish Adams are from South Australia, which has won 33 national championships and has a stellar record in developing players who have contributed to Australia's success, highlighted by world titles in 1986 and 2005. 20-year-old Williams is the third generation of her family to wear the green and gold.
My mum's obviously played for Australia, my poppy has, and to know that everyone leading up to this has been a part of creating this for everyone to come is pretty special.
Of course, she can go one better than all in the family.
To have the Olympics as an option for juniors to even look up to is insane.
The likes of Williams won't do it alone. They'll be led by players like Olivia Parker, who by 2028 will be a veteran of the international stage.
It could be my only shot, and I'll be working so hard over the next 4 or 5 years to really push for that position in the Olympic team.
Having the talent and tradition of success is one thing, but for Australia to have a shot at the Olympic podium, it'll need to appoint a coach prepared for the 4-year journey to Los Angeles.
Certainly something I'd love to be considered for. I've coached Australia for a long time now and I love the sport.
Winding up and shooting for an Olympic goal. Aussies! Alexandra Helmus, ABC News.
Turning to the weather now, and tonight's viewer photo has been sent in by Joanne Van Oz. Another hot day across the territory today. Some isolated showers and storms through the Gregory and northern Tanami this afternoon, but it was mostly sunny elsewhere. Darwin reached a top of 35 degrees today, 38 in the rural area. Heatwave conditions across much of the territory today, 39 the top in Katherine, 43 in Borroloola. Alice Springs reached 38 degrees and 41 at Yulara. On the satellite you can see an area of cloud with embedded thunderstorms over southern WA and into South Australia. A few clouds developing over the tropical north this afternoon. A trough extends through the interior of WA across the Northern Territory and through Queensland. Interstate tomorrow, a few showers and storms along the east coast, a top of 27 degrees in Brisbane and Canberra, 28 the top in Adelaide, Perth sunny and 29 degrees. Back home, staying hot and dry in the centre, Alice Springs heading for a top of 38 degrees, 42 in Tennant Creek and Alicorung. A few clouds about the eastern top end, but no rain in sight just yet. Katherine heading for a top of 40 degrees. And in the west, the chance of storms in the rural area and out to Jabiru, but hot and humid for Darwin tomorrow. A heatwave warning is still in place across large parts of the territory for the next couple of days. The morning high tide tomorrow will be just before 8 a.m, with seas off Darwin to about a metre. The sun will rise tomorrow at 6:23, setting just after 7 o'clock. And looking ahead for your first week of 2024, some showers and thunderstorms finally predicted in Darwin from Tuesday. Staying hot though in Alice Springs, mostly sunny for your public holiday, but some showers expected later in the week. And that's ABC News for the last time in 2023. We'll leave you now with a look back at the year that was in the Northern Territory, compiled by Andy Smith. Thanks for your company. Have a good night.
A house built out of stone.
And I woke up to the text and it said, I love you, Dad. I've been stabbed.
No other parent should ever have to imagine the pain and suffering that their child has endured.
Tables and chairs
really shaken us and definitely created significant concern for our own safety, because it could be anyone.
Domestic violence is a story out there. It's not always their business, it's everybody's business.
People should be paying attention because these women mattered, their lives mattered. They were very loved, they are very missed.
We are just declaring an emergency on behalf of dump truck 11 flight, single MV-22 in the vicinity of Melville Island.
We need to accept that systemic racism exists in systems that are built with the history that we have in the Northern Territory more, and we need to make sure that we eliminate it.
If we can be diverting kids away from the justice system
up to the age of 12. Why can't we be doing it till 14?
I was screaming, absolutely screaming at the top of my lungs, help, someone help.
Whether that is the AFP, whether that is the Army, or whether that is just resources, we need them in Alice Springs now.
We will now have takeaway alcohol-free days on Monday and Tuesday.
It's not something that's going to magically fix all of the problems in Alice Springs immediately, but if it acts as a bit of a circuit breaker, then potentially that could be a good thing.
It's not okay to carry weapons around. It's not normal to have a knife in your pocket.
Rumours are rife that you're about to step down and take a security role in Timor. Is there any truth to that rumour?
Absolutely no truth to that whatsoever.
It is a very simple question to ask a Chief Minister. Who is the Police Commissioner?
You never forget where you came from. You never forget what you've learned.
To whack someone in the face like that, I will call it for what it is. It is a violent act and it is unacceptable. I'm owning up to it. I accept the consequences of it. That's the right thing to do. I will officially resign my commission as Chief Minister of the Northern Territory, as well as my other ministerial portfolios.
I stand before you as a proud Territorian, and I'm very humbled by the opportunity to be Chief Minister in the Northern Territory.
This tragic accident highlights how the actions and decisions of pilots, operators and the regulator can all have a significant influence on aviation safety.
How are you feeling about today's hearing?
There's no room for racism in sport anywhere.
The humiliation and victimisation to which I've been subjected is something I had to endure in silence.
He ought to have been acquitted. It's taken too long because he was trapped by the mandatory sentencing involved in our criminal code.
Is happening. And eventually that male was removed from the vehicle and arrested.
And I'll sit here as long as I have to.
I have decided to place the Barkly Regional Council under official management.
It is heartbreaking and it's traumatising. Fighting going on, people running around with axes, something that I never thought I'd see.
I just hope someday soon that these people that are making loud noises out there in a national level come and understand us, the people on the ground.
I don't think we can squeeze in the fragility of 200 years of this history into a newspaper headline or a television news grab.
Northern Territory Police are announcing a reward of $250,000 for any information people may have in relation to the disappearance of Angie Fuller.
We identified human remains and other evidence that we believe the remains are of Tony Rowe.
That search over 3 days unfortunately led to the location of a deceased 37-year-old female in the vicinity of Nalangi Rock.
He really was the barefoot beating heart of the Sturt Plateau, and it's going to leave a fair bit of a hole with him gone.
When he spoke, we all stopped and listened. Lawrence, our team greatly misses you.
Here's to Catherine and the CLP.
Her zest for life was just like no other.
Dr. Turner was a woman of strength and resilience, whose heart and mind were grounded firmly in Central Australia.
Mr. Tom Pauling was genuinely admired and respected by everyone from all walks of life.
That's dedication, and the fact that says, I'm needed here, I'm staying here.
At the centre of his heart was his community and his people, and we will greatly miss him in the Northern Territory.
He was a born leader. At the end, I'm just feeling that he's did us so proud.
Everyone's worried about our house, about everything that we've lost.
We don't know when we'll be going back home.
We do have an active, uncontrolled fire in the Barkly at the moment.
And the train didn't come out the other side. And the next thing, there was a big cloud of dust and that got up. So, yeah, we went down there and we found the accident site.
Whoa!
It was crazy. We were shaking back and forth. There was a lot of movement in the building. It was a bit worrying.
I went down, picked her up, brought her all the way up to try and get the hooks out of her, and then saw her, she was all wrapped up in the lines.
This is like an urban myth in Darwin when they did this 40 years ago, and I grew up listening to the stories, and it almost faded into mythology.
To put NT on the map and to put First Nations people on the map, saying that we're out here doing these deadly things in this sport as well, it's just amazing.
We all walk on the same ground. We all live under the same sky. It's Darwin's story.
It's Territorian story and it's Australian story.